Hi, I'm Janae, here to show you my presentation about theater history assignment. So to start with, the Greek and Roman theater started in the 6th century. There were two main types, tragedy and comedy. All Greek plays were a part of the choral drama, which is often unappreciated. This is the practice of writing scripts. However, the practice of writing scripts did not become common in the Western world. These playwrights could have started as early as the 8th century BC. As far as the Romans, they borrowed much from the Greeks, including structures and plots of plays. The first plays in Rome were written by a Greek import, Livius Andronicus, produced in 240 BCE. Sorry if I mispronounced that. They also included their own types of ideas, including chariot racing, gladiator combats, comedies, and some other writings. These two theaters are linked together because they have a lot in common. Here we have Aeschylus, Euripides, Aristophanes, Sophocles, and Livius Andronicus. Medieval theater. The Middle Ages was classified religious drama. A lot of the writers weren't well known, and some of them were even random. They only did not write to get better. They did it in the glory of God. So it was very religious, and it wasn't for publicity at all. Mysterious plays known as Turco drama started in the age of the great religious drama. It also became a big part of the plays, along with morality and worker plays. Looking outside of Europe, Sanskrit dramas are becoming popular as well. They had over 1,000 plays being produced, and Noankyle Jin Theater were increasing along the Beijing Opera in China during this golden age. Not only in Europe, but all over the world, they were expanding. Moving on to the Italian English Renaissance, Queen Elizabeth took their own, which provided a lot for everyone in Europe. Playwrights that came during this time were Thomas Kyde, William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, and Christopher Marlowe. Thomas and Christopher both wrote tragedies that were inspired by the Romans. Shakespeare is still well known today. He has a lot of plays that are still read, but he was also a big contributor. And Ben Jonson was named Poet Laureate of England for his authorship of his plays, Every Man and His Humor. So here on the left, we have Ben Jonson, William Shakespeare, Thomas Kyde, and Christopher Marlowe. Neoclassicism, described as a new classicism that has effect on Western Europe drama. It lasted over 200 years. It was created by the Italians. The Italians' neoclassicism drama was based on 3 dramas. There's 3 utilities, a 5-act form, and 2 full purpose. French neoclassicism started around the 17th century. King Louis and Cardinal Richelieu formed the French Academy for the Culture. In 1636, the play The Cid was a player that stayed away from the culture, and at the time when neoclassicism began to fade away. So here we have Cardinal, and this is the play The Cid, which is a tragic and a comedy mix. So with English Restoration, became a central part to people's lives who lived in England. There were 2 companies that appeared, which were the King's Company and the Duke's Men. Every aspect of theater during this time was getting better and better. It was changing in many aspects. For example, the lighting was different. There were large chandeliers, and even the scenery was great. It was just something different that they weren't really used to. That's what made it extraordinary. The design tried making new problems to make things better. But this time was such a good time for a new change, and it could really help better the Restoration period. Melodrama. It came during the Industrial Revolution time period. It was a change people were trying to escape during this horrible time. There were plays made up of villains, poetic justice, and heroes, which gave that low social class a sense of hope and a chance to escape from the real world. During that time this play was going on. During this play, they always enter happy, along with music, which was good because it increased the audience's attention and even their attendance. In the 19th century, the two main plays were produced during the melodrama period, which included Gilbert de Pierrecourt and Dion Bouquetot. In today's world, melodrama isn't usually in live theater, but instead it's usually kept on film and on television. I think that's better. So here we have Gilbert over here and Dion on the right. Realism. Developed during the same time as the Industrial Revolution, during the social conditions. Another name for realism is naturalism. It was developed during these theories, like Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. The three stories influence realism, and the setting was a very important factor during the Aristic plays because they showed conflict of heredity to carry the characters' actions as well. So here we have some of the realisms. We have Henrik Ibsen, Anton Chevuk, and George Bernard Shaw. The other isms, to start, symbolism. As you know, and what it sounds like, we use this a lot in today's world. It actually began in 1885. And it emphasizes using symbols to represent multiple aspects, but whether that's like a sport or an animal or act, like just anything it represents. Expressionism, it's people believed against the materialism age that they were trying to reform human spirit, and their dramas focused more on distortion. It disappeared in 1910 in Germany. Dadaism and Futurism, kind of the same. These came during the 20th century, but because of radical ideas that didn't influence much. Absurdism, this is a new movement made by scholar Martin Esslin. They believed that there was no outlet from the chaos that was occurring in the world. At the time, World War II was happening. So, this wasn't a great time. And along with that, the Holocaust was happening in World War II and the development of nuclear weapons. So this was just a terrible time. And if you were living during this time, there was no hope in what was happening because of all these things going on. Here we have George Kaiser on the left, Ernst Haller in the middle, and Eugene O'Neill. The postmodern drama, the emphasis text was used in plays. They made a linear narrative and cause-to-effect events. They also avoided the closure, meaning it was to get people thinking, to have different perspective on what others were saying. Most of the time, there'll be more than one meaning, even though the logic was not all there. By the late 1960s to the early 1970s, groups like Black, Hispanics, gays, lesbians, they were mostly minorities. Many were experimenting with theater, so it was more out and open than normal. And that concludes my slideshow. I hope you enjoy it. Have a great night.